What's up, it's Garrett again, and today we're going to be walking through a super versatile all-in-one HX Stomp preset that I've been working on for a while now. If you love sculpting dynamic guitar tones, cascading delays, warm tape modulation, and lush ambient reverb, hang on to your seat and let's get started. So, here's the all-in-one patch that I've been working on for a while now. I've tweaked and tweaked to the point that I'm pretty sure I'm satisfied with the tones and versatility that I'm getting. So let's talk about the amp block first, because it was a major factor in how I designed the rest of the preset, not just tonally but DSP wise as well. I decided to go with the Jazz Rivet 120 amp model because out of all the guitar amp models, it takes very little DSP, and if you're not familiar with the Helix line of products and how they work, each block that you activate in the unit uses a certain percentage of processing power, and when you're building all that into a patch like this, the DSP is super important in order to get as much as you can into one preset. So as you can tell from these settings, I'm running the amp pretty clean. I'm running the amp gain as high as I can get while maintaining a consistently clean tone right before it starts to break up. So it's got a little bit of teeth on it, as you can see, but it's not, it's definitely not a dirty amp. Just by nature, I mean, the drive here is on 10, so I mean, we're talking really clean here. For our cabs, I'm using two IRs that I've captured from a speaker cabinet I once had. It had 10-inch speaker from Fender Champ XD in it. I made two IRs with it using a SM57 and an MXL V67, which is actually this mic right here that I'm using right now to do this voiceover with. The cabinet was something I made from a 1-inch thick solid pine board I had, and it had a plaid grill cloth with a repurposed denim wrap, so that's why I've titled it as Plaid Denim. You can download those IRs on my website for free at garrettfrye.com, link in the description. Before we start looking at the drive section, I'll play you this, and then we'll talk about the unsung hero of this unit, which is compression. That's what you get with the bridge pickup on this Epiphone Les Paul, and let's listen to the neck pickup. And middle position. So the unsung hero of this preset is the 3-band compressor. Out of all the compressor blocks in the Helix lineup, this one uses the least DSP. But not only is it efficient, it's pretty handy when using it to bring life to the amp we're using. Our completely dry tone sounds okay, but it can still use a tad bit of work to get rid of that slightly boxy sound. So let's engage the block and hear the difference. You can see how it totally changes the character of the amp. This will be even more apparent when we start adding gain, and we've got our dry tone pretty dialed in for now for this guitar. You may have to adjust the amp gain level and possibly even the amp EQ to better fit your guitar and your pickups that you're using. So for gain staging, I'm running the distortion block that models the Analog Man Prince of Tone. This is by far my favorite distortion block in the Helix line of products. It's super simple, versatile block, capable of subtle clean sounds, mild amp-like overdrive, and thick, warm harmonic distortion bliss. I mean, we're gonna start our gain staging with this block. I like my first gain stage to break up just enough so that when I'm strumming inversions or picking arpeggiated parts, it just glues it all together. So here's what that sounds like. I've got this block set to a setting that I like for rhythm parts, or even something that could add a little grit to an ambient sound. I've also got that mapped as foot switch 4. which on my dual expression switch is a left foot switch. This may vary on which one you have set to ring and tip in your global settings and how do you have your switch oriented on your board. For the second gain stage, if you haven't noticed already, I've got foot switch 5 mapped to change a few settings on the principal tone block we're already using. It's changing the gain, the level, the clipping, and the operating voltage. Each parameter is assigned to the same foot switch, so you can change multiple things with one button press. And here it is with that foot switch engaged. I've got the second gain stage set somewhat aggressively so it can be used for leads or high energy rhythm parts. Here's how that sounds. Depending on the guitar you're using and if you make changes to the amp model, you may get into an almost fuzz territory here. And with a clean sound, a light overdrive sound, and a lead sound, we can start to look at our wood effects now. I like to start with working with the reverb, then we'll work to modulation effects, and then my delays when I'm building a preset, so we'll discuss them in that order too. We've been saving as much DSP as possible so that we can dedicate that processing power to our wet effects. And in worship music especially, wet effects are a major part of the prominent guitar parts we hear throughout the genre. So we'll start with my favorite ambient style reverb in the unit, the stereo dynamic hall block. This block is one of the newest wet effects released for the Helix line, and it uses a good bit of DSP, but what it delivers in sound quality is far worth the cost. For my light always on reverb sound, I set this one's decay all the way down to 1 second. This gives us a very nice short hall sound that really just adds a nice sense of space and width to the sound, but it doesn't wash out the attack on all of our notes. So here's what that sounds like. As we all know in worship music, ambient reverb is a big deal, so let's talk about how I set that up. I've got foot switch 2 to be set to the swell switch. You press it and it adjusts the decay time and the mix to a higher level for more verb. Let's turn that overdrive off for a nice clean sound, and we'll see how that sounds with a nice long reverb tail. What you can't see yet is that foot switch 2 is also changing a few parameters on our delay as well. Before we hear how that sounds, let's turn off the ambient switch and talk about our modulation. I'm a huge fan of tape style modulation, the warm organic feel that it imparts at a subtle mix, or the vibrato like waver that you can get at higher mixes and sounds so cool to me. So for this patch, I went with the stereo retro real block, and it sounds something like this. I went with more of a vibrato sound this time. Nothing too crazy here, just some nice vibrato that doesn't make you seasick. I think bands like Gable Price and Friends have a really cool style of modulation in their guitar parts that's very fitting for worship music. Hit the ambient switch to bump up the mix and decay for our reverb, and you'll get something like this. Let's throw on that overdrive. That's pretty cool. On to the delay. I'm running the vintage digital delay in stereo, of course, for this patch. I like using that delay because it uses a relatively low amount of DSP for what it offers sonically. It also gives you the ability to get basically a dual delay type sound from just one delay block. Add the option for modulation and you get a versatile, efficient delay sound that sounds amazing. For this patch, we're basically going to be running the delay on at all times. This is so switch number 2 can be used to trigger the swell settings on delay and reverb. Here's something with the delay and reverb on. Here's what happens when I press the swell switch. Obviously, this works great with the volume pedal running into the Stomp, but you can achieve a similar sound just using the volume knob on your guitar. So there you have it, an awesome all-in-one preset you can use on small 8-inch Stomp rig, not only for worship music, but a wide variety of similar genres. If you'd like to download this patch, snag that at GarrettFrye.com. That's I can't even spell my own name. That's GarrettFrye.com. I've included about 10 different versions of this preset with different options for overdrive, modulation, and reverb. If you want first dibs on new presets that I make on the channel or access to other free resources like ambient pads, sign up and you'll be notified as soon as the walkthrough video goes live, or maybe even sooner. As always, thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos to come. Until next time, let's make music.